Welcome back to the Stop Zone, where we talk about the good, the bad, and everything that made you sad from the previous week. And oh, what a previous week it has been. Logan Paul challenged all comers in the NFL to a boxing match, and we're going to talk about that. The United States women's soccer team wins another SheBelieves Cup, which I believe makes them 8-time winners of this tournament, again showing that our female athletes in this country are dominant and will continue to be dominant, and we need to support them. So we also had Max Crosby, which we're going to spend a lot of time on, leaving the Las Vegas Raiders, which is bittersweet, but they got a haul for Max Crosby. And of course, we had the White House UFC card drop in something that can only be seen documented in a well-known documentary, Idiocracy, as we are going to have fighting on the White House lawn. Ooh, how exciting. How exciting in times like this that's what we're going to be focused on within our White House. That's, nothing else to see here. Just a UFC match. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about the SheBelieves Cup, and not too much. They won again, and they are getting ready. They are ramped up for the Women's World Cup in 2027. But right now, as of this moment, they have a superstar on their hands in Trinity Rodman, and that whole team is phenomenal. That whole women's soccer team is just literally the best soccer team in the world right now as far as the female game is concerned. And if you are looking for somebody to be a role model for your kids, for your little girls out there, Trinity Rodman is the perfect example of a female athlete that is an utter rock star. She is so good. She's got an amazing attitude. She is a electric superstar, and we need to start treating her like one, because she is a personality that we can get behind. She is an athlete that we can get behind, and she is going to assist in leading our nation to another World Cup championship. They are the front runners going into this and into 2027's Women's World Cup, and she is leading that charge. Let's move forward now on to Logan Paul. Logan Paul, who will do anything to stay in the limelight, literally anything he can, him and his brother want to do to just stay relevant. They will do anything to stay relevant. And the most recent thing they're doing to stay relevant right now is Logan Paul, who is a pretty big star in the WWE. Logan Paul kind of has found his sport with WWE wrestling. And people know him, people cheer for him. He could be a great heel, but instead of that, he needs more. So what is he going to do to keep himself relevant? He's going to challenge all NFL players, every single one, to a boxing match. He says that he can beat any NFL player in a boxing match. And there's some coded language there, right? There is, because a boxing match, well, NFL players didn't challenge him to an Oklahoma drill, did they? They didn't say, hey, Logan, why don't we do an Oklahoma drill? Let's see how well you do there in our sport. This is Logan Paul challenging an NFL player to something that he may not do on the regular. He may not be someone that is able to train boxing at the level that Logan Paul is able to train boxing, because Logan Paul, though he is not a good boxer, is a trained boxer that boxed the likes of Floyd Mayweather Jr., and not that wasn't a stage kind of for the whole world to watch his skills, is what we'll say. But it is this boxed Floyd Mayweather's doing a lot of work there. But he is a trained boxer. He does have more time on his hands to train into boxing than an NFL player does, because an NFL player's team and ownership doesn't want the NFL player training to be a boxer. They want the NFL player training to be an NFL player. They want everything, every single second, moment of focus to be focused on the goal, the objective, which is making it to a Super Bowl for your organization. So it's coded. He's challenging them to something that he has a slight chance to be better at than them, because he trains in this, has more time to train as a boxer than they have to train as a boxer. So when Logan Paul issues this challenge, he does it knowing this. He's not a stupid person. He's just an annoying person. Both him and his brother, both Jake and Logan, are just irritating flies around the tail of horses. And for some reason, this generation of entertainment has chosen to make them superstars. I don't know why, but they want it. They're this generation's Tweedledee and Tweedledum that have managed to climb their way up to the top of this entertainment ladder that is, YouTube and Twitch streams. But when we talk, just let's get down to it, because Dion Dawkins of the Buffalo Bills, the left tackle for Josh Allen, has taken him up on this challenge. And I would like to see this happen, but who knows? Because what is the benefit? I don't believe in most of these fights any longer, because I just don't see what the benefit is to Dion Dawkins winning. And I don't see what the benefit is to even having this fight, because if Dion Dawkins wins, well, he just beat Logan Paul. And Dion Dawkins loses, well, he lost to Logan Paul, which is very irritating. This is not a win-win situation. Now, there's probably going to be a lot of money involved, but I am sure that Dion Dawkins wasn't the name that Logan Paul wanted to see come across his scroll, because Dion Dawkins doesn't necessarily ring out at the bank. This is not something that a lot of people are going to clamor to see or to pay for. I'm not even sure that Netflix would be in a hurry to pay for this. We'll have to see how the marketing goes. But when we talk about this, Dion Dawkins is a giant human being. So if this was an MMA fight or a street fight, Logan Paul would literally have his tiny body ragdolled all over the floor. Okay, Logan Paul fancies himself an athlete because he can jump and do cartwheels, and that's cool. And wrestling is very tough. Wrestling is an athletic sport, but that does not mean he can compete in all athletics. Okay, he would never survive at any position in the NFL. Like, he couldn't survive at linebacker; he would get crushed. He couldn't survive at cornerback; he would get burned. He couldn't survive at wide receiver because he would get headhunted. Logan Paul is good at one thing, and that is running his mouth to the extent that viewers tune in to see what it is he has said. And because of that, he finds himself in a situation where he may be boxing Dion Dawkins. And regardless of what we think, this is probably not going to be an entertaining fight. This is probably not going to be something that people are going to want to tune in and see. This is not something we are rushing to our televisions to watch and see. So I apologize for my thoughts on this, and I apologize if you were very excited to see Dion Dawkins box Logan Paul, but I'm here to poo-poo it. It is not anything that anyone needs to see in this century nor the next, is Logan Paul boxing Dion Dawkins. Now, this does seem like a page right out of the Floyd Mayweather playbook. Obviously, like I said earlier, they boxed each other, where he is hoping that people are going to pay money and tune in simply to watch him lose, which is something that could happen. People could tune in to see Logan Paul get his ass kicked, but that's not what you're going to get. You're going to get another dose of the Manny Pacquiao Floyd Mayweather fight, which is 12 rounds of not a whole lot of anything happening. That's what you're looking at doing when you get this fight, when you purchase this fight, when you look to tune in for a NFL player, not a boxer, boxing Logan Paul, an entertainer, a WWE professional, not a boxer. Have fun with that. Next up, onto a real fighting sport, the UFC. This is something that I was hoping would get called off. I was hoping it would be a farce. This is the UFC White House card. Now, you have superstars coming out. Conor McGregor, John Jones, and calling out the UFC again. The UFC is notoriously cheap, extremely cheap in how they pay and treat their athletes. So much so that years ago, former fighters tried to start a union so as to garner some rights in this industry, in this fight game. And all that ends up happening is union busting. Scabs come in because, just like was stated earlier from an athlete that will not be named because I don't want to ever give this person any shine or attention, they will just fill that slot with somebody else that is hungry and is literally fighting to put food on the table. And what is not a lot of money to those of you that have made it in this sport may be a lot of money to that athlete. And in this sport, the tide can turn at any time. So many of our legends have a lot of losses. Look at Randy Couture. Randy Couture is widely considered one of the legends of the sport, and he has quite a few losses. Bas Rutten is a legend of the sport, and he has quite a few losses. So this game can turn on you in an instant. Even the great ones can lose. So with Conor McGregor, you saw that tide turn. He literally went, invested in his whiskey company, and became one of the highest paid athletes in the world. I believe one year he was the highest paid athlete in the world, and went crazy, went off the deep end. He was in all kinds of scandals, and he had a chance to have this game by its balls. But at the end of the day, he probably made the right decision, even though it led to a ton of scandals. He made more money outside of the UFC ring once his name was something than he could have ever made fighting for Dana White. Francis Ngannou, what sucks about that situation is he has now been cut from the PFL, and they cut him, I think, due to inactivity. I never saw him fight in the PFL ever. So I don't even know what happened with those shenanigans when it came to signing Francis Ngannou. I was excited for the PFL, and I was excited to see what he would do in a league that would pay him, and then he just didn't show up or fight. So when we're looking at this, that creates a paradox where if you do in fact pay them or give them any type of guaranteed money, what is their incentive to continue to put their health, their bodies at risk in a sport that is as violent as MMA? Now, then you have Jon Jones. Jon Jones, not shy about running his mouth and also not void of his own controversies, is also saying things about what has occurred with this UFC White House fight card. And these two, Conor McGregor and Jon Jones, two of your still to this day most recognizable faces in the sport, which says a lot about what you've done to market this sport, Dana White, by the way, because these two are really leading the way. Like, if you're familiar with the sport, you know the Alex Perez, you know the Adesanyas, you know Max Holloway, you know Charles do Bronx Oliveira. But if you're not, like, you know Justin Gaethje, but if you're not familiar with this sport, then it's not something that these are not fighters that are household names. If you are a casual, these names aren't getting the job done. Okay, just like that Logan Paul, Dion Dawkins conversation. So here we are in a situation where this White House card is released, and naturally, people are absolutely underwhelmed. Why? Because these fighters are not household names yet. Ilia Topuria is a fantastic fighter. He's amazing. However, he is not somebody that has built a reputation, that has built a name. And then, of course, you have Justin Gaethje, who, while he is popular, I don't know if he's as popular as the UFC is giving him credit for in this situation. And that is your headliner on this card. You also have Sean O'Malley on this card. And we look at this card with Sean O'Malley, and yeah, Sean O'Malley had a chance to be big. He was on his way, and then nothing ever happened. Nothing ever came of Sean O'Malley's fame. Bo Nickel Bo Nickel is somebody that we hoped would be great and then ended up getting knocked out, got caught. All right. So the more we go through this card, you have Alex Perez, long awaited move to heavyweight and fighting Cyril Gane, who is also not really a big name outside of this division, outside of fans that actually tune in to watch UFC. I have been out of the United States now since 2022. So we're now going on 4.5 years. And I'm telling you, it is hard to watch overseas. So I tune in for big names. And none of these names on this card are names that are going to blow you away. All good fighters, all fun fighters. But the biggest name you have on this card is Alex. And I'm not sure he's enough to get the job done. What was enough to get the job done is 2 first-round draft picks from the Baltimore Ravens. And when I say that, I'm talking about the trade of Max Crosby, which frees up more cap space for the Las Vegas Raiders. However, the Las Vegas Raiders lose the one good thing that they have probably had outside of what Derek Carr was able to accomplish. Obviously, a very polarizing figure is Derek Carr. Max Crosby was beloved by Raider Nation. And yes, he made some bad decisions as far as photos that were taken. Well, it depends on how you look at it, right? Bad decisions are in the eye of who's staring at the photographs. But Those decisions were polarizing, but when it came to Raider Nation, Max Crosby is the best defensive player, the most fun player to watch that the Raiders have had since Charles Woodson. He is a player you tune in and you simply watch him. You only watch him on the defensive end. And now that is gone, and the Raiders have nobody on that defensive side of the ball. Absolutely zero players are on that defensive side of the ball for the Las Vegas Raiders. And it makes you think, what are they going to do? Because while the 14th pick is a good pick, you got to look at who's available at that 14th pick. So what do? Do they reach for a wide receiver? Because it does look like it would be a reach and put somebody around what could be Fernando Mendoza with the first overall pick? Or do they go for an offensive lineman to protect Fernando Mendoza? They've only got Colton Miller left on that offensive line. So maybe you go offensive line and find a way to protect Fernando Mendoza? Or do you go defense and try to replace who you just traded away? Now, I've got an interesting scenario that I'd just like to talk through really quickly. Right now, Malik Willis is being linked to the Arizona Cardinals, and he's being linked to the Miami Dolphins, okay, for obvious reasons. However, the team with the most draft capital, right? No, not draft capital. Yeah, they do have the most draft capital in this draft. But the team with the most cap space is the Las Vegas Raiders. Would it be a waste to try to spend some money on Malik Willis, bring him in, and trade that first draft pick and get more draft capital and do our best to start to fill in these holes, both in free agency and with that draft capital? I think that's a good question to ask if you're not sold on Fernando Mendoza, and many people aren't. It's weird. With these Raiders, you hear me saying this a lot. It's a very polarizing player. Derek Carr provided some stability at the quarterback position, some stability that the Raiders have not had in a very long time. And they didn't get it from Geno Smith, did they? They haven't had it since him. Since Derek Carr left, they have not had stability at that position. So right now, you're looking at a quarterback room with no veterans in it. No one to rely on, no one that you can rally around and say, this is our guy. So I don't think it would be a great idea to trade the first round pick. However, I do think it is an idea that is worth considering when you look at what Kubiak was able to do with Sam Darnold when Sam Darnold landed in Seattle directly after he had a great year with Minnesota. Well, Malik Willis has shown flashes in Green Bay and shown us that he does have an ability to be extremely talented, but he has to be put in the right situations. And the Raiders may not be that right situation, but you could again surround Malik Willis with quite a bit of talent with that cap space and with that draft capital. The Las Vegas Raiders have the world at their feet right now with this rebuild. They have the most draft capital and they have a huge amount of cap space. Like I said, I think it's the most cap space available. Now all the Las Vegas Raiders have to do is not get this rebuild wrong. They cannot pull what they pulled with Gruden and Mayock and completely obliterate all of the draft capital they got from trading Khalil Mack. They cannot do what they did and let all of the players that actually turned out walk. They have to build for the future here, and it starts with the quarterback position. So after all of that, I would say I am still falling on they need to draft a quarterback. They need to get somebody for the long term. And the long-term solution looks like it is Fernando Mendoza. But do not be shocked. Do not be shocked if the Las Vegas Raiders make a run at Malik Willis and put up that first overall pick to sell to the highest bidder, because that would now create a very interesting scenario where they're building around another young-ish player and Malik Willis who has shown flashes. And they have a young offensive hotshot in Kubiak that could develop a quarterback like Malik Willis. Our final topic is going to be the San Antonio Spurs. And I'm just going to say this right now. I think that the San Antonio Spurs are so far ahead of schedule. I think Wembanyama is so far ahead of schedule. And right now, it is looking like a collision course. The only thing that can stop the San Antonio Spurs from making it to the NBA Finals is youth. That is it. All right. And the only thing that can beat that youth is experience. And I don't know if it's going to be the Thunder because the Spurs seem to have had the Thunder's number all year long. And I don't know if it's going to be the Nuggets because the Nuggets have been wishy-washy. But what I do know is San Antonio is so far ahead of schedule and the West looks scary. Also, welcome back to the NBA, Jason Tatum. Let's see what you got as you join a team that has thrived without you. This has been the Sad Fan. Thank you for joining us each and every week, and we will see you next time.
Back to the block, I'm scamming. Back in the shop, I'm scamming. Get it off a dummy, I'm scamming.